10 sinister and cursed horror videos exposed, unexplained footage that will haunt you forever. It started as just another Friday night, boredom creeping in like the chill outside. Lisa, scrolling through her social media feed, stumbled upon a video that made her skin crawl. 10 sinister and cursed horror videos exposed. The headline screamed. Curiosity nudged her to click. She regretted it almost instantly. The first clip showcased eerie shadows darting across backyards in her quiet Ohio suburb. The second revealed disembodied whispers slithering through the stillness of night. Each horrifying frame plunged deeper into a nightmare. Kids similar to Mia's age disappearing, warm smiles replaced by cold shadows. A figure dubbed the Watcher loomed in every chilling story, preying on families like hers. Lisa turned off her phone, shaking her head. Just another scare tactic by someone trying to rack up views. But as she glanced outside, the night's stillness felt unnerving. Something shifted in the air, and her heart picked up an anxious beat. A creeping sensation coiled around her spine. Shadows danced in the corners of her eyes. The familiar sounds of laughter from the street now seemed distorted, like whispers mocking her every thought. As she simmered in dread, she remembered her daughter, 8-year-old Mia, snuggled safely in her room. It was just a silly video. But as she stood up to check on her, she hesitated. A flicker of light in the hallway made her pause. Lisa brushed it off, attributing it to her exhausted imagination, the remnants of long days and restless nights. It was the divorce, she told herself. Stress was playing tricks. Her phone chimed again, pulling her back. A new video had uploaded, this one even more disturbing. In it, bicycles lay abandoned on the sidewalks, their riders vanished into thin air. Panic tightened her throat. Why hadn't she noticed it before? She quickly reached for the remote, intent on turning off the noise. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But as those words echoed in her mind, every flicker of the lights grew frantic. A chilling melody slipped through the walls. She gripped her phone, skeptical yet unnerved. Maybe the stress was getting to her, or maybe the videos were all part of something bigger, something lurking in the corners of her neighborhood. The next morning, Lisa woke to silence. An aching dread settled into her chest. Her first instinct was to check on Mia, but the room was empty. Panic clawed at her throat as she called her name, a desperate plea that went unanswered. The world outside her window had transformed overnight. Neighbors strolled by, but their smiles told a different story, a hunger lurking beneath polite facades. The friendly faces she had come to trust now appeared predatory, eyes glinting like predators spotting prey. Frantic memories washed over her, the video's whispers warning about the children who disappeared. This couldn't be happening. She felt the walls closing in. Lisa shoved thoughts aside, fueling herself with determination. She needed to find Mia. Every step felt heavy as she sank deeper into this web of horror, unraveling secrets that would lead her to the reality behind the Watcher, the face she relied on, the danger hiding behind the neighbor's warm smile. And in the darkness, every shadow seemed to close in. The chase had only just begun. The air felt thick, suffocating. Lisa stumbled out the door, her heart racing. She squinted against the bright morning light that felt wrong, so bright against the dark weight in her chest. The neighborhood, serene and ordinarily welcoming, now loomed like a predator. Lisa's hands trembled as she swept the street with her gaze, searching for any sign of Mia. The sidewalks were empty. Fear clawed at her throat again. Maybe she is playing at a friend's house, she whispered, grasping for hope in desperation. But as she looked closer, dread replaced hope. The houses looked abandoned, like the joy had been pulled right out of them. Shutters hung askew, lawns overgrown. A heavy stillness settled, broken only by the occasional hollow laughter ringing out from somewhere far away, haunting and unfamiliar. In the distance, 3 familiar figures strolled, their silhouettes casting long shadows across the pavement. Neighbors. But were they really? Lisa felt an icy chill run down her spine. She squinted, the sunlight casting them in a glimmering, almost ghostly light. As they drew nearer, their faces twisted into expressions that sent a fresh wave of panic crashing over her, a mixture of smiles too wide and eyes too glassy. "Good morning, Lisa," one called, their voice cheerful yet false. The way the person said her name felt wrong, like nails scraping against glass. "Have you seen Mia?" she asked, her voice trembling, echoing a sense of urgency she desperately wished for. The trio paused, eyes glinting in the light. They exchanged glances, and Lisa could swear she saw something flicker there, a shared secret. "Mia?" they echoed, lingering over the name as if tasting it. "We haven't seen her." The insincerity rolled off their words like thick syrup. Lisa hurried past, her pulse pounding in her ears. She felt their eyes boring into her back, fixated, hungry. The whispers from the videos crept back into her mind, children who disappeared, their laughter replaced by shadows. Desperation bubbled within her. A primal instinct urged her to run. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, jarring her from her spiraling thoughts. She fished it out quickly, praying it might hold a message from Mia. But it was just another notification. New video uploaded. The watcher returns. It blinked on the screen. Lisa's blood ran cold. She remembered the figure, always watching, always lurking. It was too much. Her instincts screamed at her now to dive deeper into the rabbit hole, to find Mia before it was too late. She turned down the street, following shadows as they twisted in strange ways, almost beckoning her down an unmarked path. Each house stood like a silent guardian, but Lisa felt nothing but looming dread. It was as if the very essence of the neighborhood had turned stale, the air thick with unspoken horror. She approached a small park bathed in dim sunlight. The swing swayed eerily, moving without a breeze, as if stirred by invisible hands. Heart pounding, she stepped forward. "Me?" she called, her voice breaking. Silence swallowed her words. Then, out of the corner of her eye, something flickered at the edge of the trees, a flash of bright red, the color of Mia's favorite jacket. "Mommy!" a voice chimed sweetly, reverberating through the trees. Lisa turned, pulse racing, but before she could process it, the cheerful laughter transformed into something darker. It echoed around her, swirling like smoke, tainted with something sinister. "Mia?" she breathed, panic rising as she sprinted towards the sound, pushing branches aside. But as she broke through the brush, the sight that met her eyes halted her dead in her tracks. A clearing opened up, and there stood Mia, not alone, but surrounded by children. They danced in a circle, their faces illuminated with eerie smiles, while golden sunlight flickered and dimmed, as if the very essence of day had been devoured. Lisa felt the air turn colder, the laughter fading into mocking whispers. The children turned their gazes towards her, their eyes shining with a strange light, full of mischief and trickery. "Me?" she yelled, desperate, but paralyzed by the menacing atmosphere. But the little girl was no longer her own. She twirled in the center of the circle, oblivious to the peril surrounding her. And that's when Lisa realized the laughter wasn't innocent. It came alive in dark shades of malice, weaving into the fabric of her worst fears. What had happened to the neighborhood? What had happened to her daughter? And who were the figures lurking in the shadows? Lisa took a step back, breath hitching as she searched for an escape. The reality pressed in on her, a deepening nightmare she couldn't wake from. What was pulling Mia into this darkness? The children leaned closer, their smiles widening, shadows merging with daylight, and just when she thought she had no way out, a whisper wound through her thoughts. Icy yet familiar. Mommy, come play with us. The darkness crept closer, hungry. As the circle began to spin faster, Lisa knew the terrifying truth. Perhaps she was not the one searching for Mia. Perhaps Mia was the one lost within what would she sacrifice to pull her back. It was only the beginning of the horror that would unfold. The swirling laughter pierced through Lisa's mind, heavy and detestable. Her instincts screamed at her. This was wrong, so utterly wrong. She felt her body tightening with panic, yet another part of her wanted desperately to step forward, to break the barrier that separated her from her daughter. "Me?" she shouted again, voice cracking with fear. The children remained locked in their dance, hypnotized by an unseen force. Their laughter blended into a cacophony of whispers, and among them, she thought she heard one voice rise above the rest, hers. "Play with us, Mommy." It was Mia's playful ring, but it echoed like a death knell. Lisa's heart sank deeper into terror. Desperation clawed at her throat as Lisa took a hesitant step towards the circle. The air felt electric, pulsating with a sinister vibrancy. The children's eyes bored into her soul, glowing with a predatory hunger that churned her stomach. Blood roared in her ears. Was this a twisted game? Or was it something far more sinister? She thought of the video, the watcher of the children that vanished, trapped in between laughter and shadows. A moment of clarity sliced through her fear. She had to pull Mia out. With a fierce resolve, Lisa dashed forward. The air thickened, almost rising to block her. The children's smiles turned cruel, and the song they sang twisted to mock her. "Mommy, won't he join us?" "Mommy is too afraid." "Me?" Her voice splintered as she lunged closer, reaching out. Time slowed as she neared the circle. She glimpsed Mia's bright red jacket, saw the innocence in her daughter's face. A moment, a flicker of recognition passed. Mia paused. For a heartbeat, Lisa saw herself in Mia's eyes, filled with confusion and fear, and something else, apathy. A void? "Mia, please!" Lisa cried desperately, several feet from her daughter now, the circle pulsating around them with a rhythm that thudded against her chest like a funeral march. "Mommy!" The child's voice was enthusiastic, begging her to stay. Dark shadows flickered behind her, and Lisa's heart skipped as she realized what she was about to do. The decision bore down her senses like a lead weight. But the moment hung suspended as the shadows inched closer. They elongated impossibly, clawing at her sanity. She could feel their chill, and with it, an urge to give in, to stop fighting, to forget and join the dance. "Join us. Be one of us." The children chorused, and behind them, forms shifted in dark corners of the clearing, grotesque distortions of former joy. They beckoned with twisted fingers, offering Lisa an escape from the pain that throbbed in her heart. "No," she rasped. She was still herself, wasn't she? Their words, an alluring siren call, fused with memories of laughter, love, warmth. It was almost enough to make her hesitate. The circle shuddered, the laughter fading. "Mommy!" Mia called again, but this time her voice was a beckoning, a plea wrapped in layers of something insidious. "Come play with us. It'll be fun. We can be together forever." Lisa felt herself wavering, drawn toward the center, and she noticed now that the ground darkened, a menacing pool of shadow writhing, itching to drag her in. No, she couldn't lose herself to this. The thought of losing Mia gripped her heart tighter. Mustering every ounce of will, she broke through whatever spell wove around her. "Step away from her," she shouted, and the shadows hissed as she stepped back, anxiety clawing into her gut like a snake ready to strike. But the children merely giggled, a horrible sound, echoing with dark promises. They split into two groups, forming a barrier around Mia, who remained frozen, watching her mother with a vacant expression. The sunlight dimmed further, shadows deepening, pulling at the edges of Lisa's resolve, trying to command her surrender. Then, just beyond the clearing, she spotted a flicker of movement, a figure hidden among the trees, cloaked in shadow, lurking. Her heart raced again, not from fear, but an instinctive recognition. This was the Watcher, the harbinger of all the disappearances. "Don't look away." The voice reverberated through the clearing again, this time sharper. "What do you want?" Lisa screamed, desperate for any form of clarity, but the trees only whispered. Shadow eyes bore into her, their intentions obscured. "Me?" Lisa lunged again, adrenaline surging, ready to break the invisible barrier, but the laughter grew louder, morphing into screams. Her own screams echoed back. "No! Not like this!" And with that, the shadow figure stepped forward, revealing a sharp grin that seemed impossibly wide, eyes glinting with delight. "What is your sacrifice, Lisa? You've come so far. Are you prepared to pay the price for your daughter?" With dread settling into her bones, Lisa knew the answer could seal their fates. Could she pay that price? What lay in the shadows beyond the clearing? The truth might not be what she expected. Something shifted among the children, and in that moment of indecision, Lisa had to choose, face the shadow or lose everything she held dear. The first tremors of a sinister reality loomed ahead, promising that the nightmare was far from over. Lisa's breath hitched, caught in her throat like a scream waiting to escape. The figure in the shadows stepped into the fading light. Every instinct screamed at her to flee, but her legs felt glued to the ground. The children's laughter twisted into a phantasmagoria of sinister whispers. They were no longer simply innocent kids. They were something darker, grotesque echoes of whatever held them captive. The figure, cloaked in deep shadows, extended a long, bony finger toward her, beckoning. "What will you give?" it asked, its voice a venomous whisper, winding through the air like smoke. "Me?" Lisa shouted, desperation clawing through her like a knife. She glanced at her daughter, still wrapped in the hypnotic sway of the circle. But Mia's eyes, where innocence once lived, were now reflections of the void that surrounded her. An unearthly chill crept into Lisa's bones, wrapping around her heart like a vice. "What is the price?" Lisa's voice trembled, tearing through the palpable despair that threatened to drown her. "A piece of you for a piece of her." The figure grinned wider, revealing teeth that glimmered in the semi-darkness, sharp and hungry. "A simple trade, the weight of a fragment. Just a fraction of your soul." Heart racing, Lisa felt the world tilt on its axis. "No, I want tea." But with each heartbeat, the thought burrowed deeper. How far would she go to save her daughter? Feel that? The shadowed figure leaned closer, its breath warm and fetid against her skin. The shadows hunger. They grow restless without a sacrifice. The circle of children shifted, a ripple of shadows dancing just behind them, hungry and waiting. The longer Lisa stood there, the louder the laughter grew, taunting, teasing, promising her a release from her pain. Mia's voice broke through, fragile yet filled with an unsettling lilt. "Mommy, come play with us. You'll feel better. We can be together forever." The allure was intoxicating. What would it be like to shed her burdens, her grief? The shadows seemed to pulse with life, caressing her skin, whispering sweet nothings of a carefree existence. Images of a life without sorrow flickered in her mind, a tantalizing illusion that sent her thoughts spiraling. Yet, the thought of Mia trapped in this darkness broke that illusion like glass. Lisa took a deep breath, grounding herself. "I can't do this. I want to let you take my daughter." "Then what will you do?" The figure's voice turned sinister, edging closer. "Fight me. Defy the shadows? You will lose, and it won't be just your light extinguished." Honeyed laughter erupted from the children. "Mommy's afraid. Mommy won't join us." their voices twisted, imbued with an ancient malice that sent shivers down her spine. Lisa's gaze darted around her. Where was the way out? A path blocked by cherubic faces turned grotesque, where the very air seemed to congeal with darkness. Panic seized her heart with icy fingers. A snap of a twig broke through the layer of fear, redirecting her attention. Scanning the edges of the clearing, something shifted back among the trees to watch her, its eyes glinting like cold steel. "Help! Someone help us!" she screamed, voice slicing through the laughter like a knife. But the shadows only grew thicker, the whispers louder. "No one can hear you. This is our realm." Desperation clawed at her. Time was running out. Shadows reached out, tendrils curling around her feet, pulling her toward the darkness. "Make your choice, Lisa." The figure's eyes glimmered with an unsettling delight. "Would you forsake your light for hers? Would you save your child at the cost of who you are?" The darkness loomed, thick as smoke, promising freedom and despair. She felt it gnawing at her will, threatening to unravel her resolve piece by piece. The laughter, the dancing children all pinned her with their haunting smiles, making her question reality. Lisa wavered, knowledge crashing over her in waves that offered no comfort, only the hollow ache of anguish. Could she sacrifice her very essence, pay the devil in shadows to rescue her little girl? Mommy Mia's voice was softer now, almost vulnerable. Something in it broke her heart all over again. Was there a chance her daughter remained within that echo? "Mommy, help me!" The plea sent a shockwave through Lisa's soul. With renewed determination, she stepped toward the circle, defiance flaring in her chest. "I will not give in to you." The shadows hissed, angered by her rebellion. "Mia, I'm coming for you." And as she plunged into the darkness, the cacophony swelled, drowning her in laughter, screams, and an urgent whisper that begged her closer. But as Lisa fought her way through, she realized she was not only battling for Mia, but also grappling with her very identity. The truth was about to unfold, and it was more terrifying than she could have ever imagined. What secret lay buried in the shadows, waiting for her to discover it? The darkness wrapped around Lisa like a living cloak, every inch of it cold and suffocating. As she pushed through the swirling shadows, the laughter of the children crescendoed, mockery filling the air. She stumbled, her feet slipping on the damp ground, weighed down by a terror she couldn't fully grasp. "Me?" she cried again, desperation clawing at her throat. "I'm coming!" But in this world twisted by shadows, each shout felt swallowed whole, lost to the suffocating silence that followed. The laughter transformed, now echoing like a cacophony of lost souls. Twisted faces flashed before her, children she once recognized as Mia's friends, morphed into ghastly grins that sent sharp spikes of fear shooting through Lisa. "Help us, Mommy!" Their voices bled into one another, warped and dissonant, each word slicing through her heart like a jagged knife. "Join us, be with us forever, no!" she shouted, flinging her arms forward, as if pushing the nightmares away. But instead, she felt them draw closer, encircling her in ethereal arms made of shadow. The smell of rot and decay filled her lungs, an overpowering reminder that these were not her daughter's friends. "Don't listen," she urged herself, but with every whisper, fragments of her resolve splintered into the dark abyss surrounding her. In the distance, she spotted a flicker of light, dim, pulsing, almost inviting. It seemed a beacon, a promise of salvation from the clutches of despair. Lisa ran, pushing through the thrumming, pulsing shadows, her heart racing, desperate for a glimpse of Mia. She neared the light. The fabric of the darkness began to twist and warp around her. "It's a trap!" her mind screamed. "Don't go there!" But the glow whispered tenderly, and Lisa felt herself being pulled, the warmth inviting against the chill creeping in her bones. "Mia, hold on!" she cried, though doubt now crept in. What if Mia wasn't waiting for her? What if the shadows had already taken her beyond? With renewed determination, she lunged toward the light. As her fingers brushed against its radiance, pain shot through her, a burning sensation that felt more like fire striking ice. She gasped, pulling back instinctively, staring wide-eyed at her hand. The light was alive, hot and consuming, but she sensed it held answers. "Make your choice, Lisa." The figure returned, looming beside her, its voice a dark lullaby. "Do you really want to enter that light? Is Mia worth the cost? Leave her alone." She screamed, clenching her fists, summoning whatever remained of her strength. The shadows responded, hissing and writhing in anger, but she stepped towards the light. "Their lies. They'll keep you trapped." The figure leaned closer, eyes burning like embers in the dark. Lisa inhaled deeply, each breath a declaration of her will. "You can't have her. She has mine to save." The shadows surged, thrashing around her as if to break her resolve. Laughter twisted into shrieks, a dissonant choir of despair. Then, a soft cry broke through, sweeter and more innocent than the others, piercing the storm surrounding her. "Mommy, I'm scared, Mia." With a surge of hope and terror intertwined, Lisa rushed forward. She could see the outlines of the children transforming, the shadows ripping away, revealing frightened faces of children who cried out for help, her daughter among them. But the light flickered erratically. "Let them go. Let my daughter go," Lisa pleaded, thrusting her hand toward the light, feeling its warmth envelop her. Would they free her only to drag her into the abyss? The figure laughed, a sound like shattering glass. "Fool! You chose this path. You will pay the price." Lisa's heart raced as the plight of her daughter clawed at her sanity. She could barter her soul and save Mia, or could she find a way to resist the shadows? As she reached for Mia, the air crackled with tension. Would her next move seal their fates forever? The darkness roared, a storm unleashing fury. Fear pressed against her in waves, but within it she felt hope ignite. What awaited them both on the other side of the light? As the shadows wailed, Lisa braced herself for the truth that awaited, promising they would find a way through the horror together. Little did she know, the light concealed answers far darker than she could imagine. What terrifying truth would she uncover in the radiance, and at what cost? Lisa plunged into the light. It enveloped her like the warm embrace of hope, yet sharpness clawed at her insides, gnawing at the edges of her consciousness. For a heartbeat, she felt weightless, free. But that illusion shattered instantly. The light pulsated around her, shapes echoing memories of laughter, of family, of everything she held dear. But now, everything felt distorted, twisted. The laughter rose again, blending with the cries of Mia, pulling at her heart, strained and pulled taut like a bowstring. "Me?" she screamed. The name shuddered through her as she darted forward, hands reaching desperately into the void around her, but nothing solid materialized. Just the flickering light, growing dimmer, teasingly just out of reach. "Me?" she cried again, desperation flooding her voice. "Where are you?" The scene before her flickered, swirling in and out, and Lisa stumbled into a vision. She stood in a dimly lit park, and at the center, a forlorn swing set creaked in a silence too heavy to bear. Trees loomed like dark sentinels overhead, branches twisting grotesquely, casting wicked shadows on the ground. Sudden whispers twisted through the air, slithering into her mind. "You left her behind," they mocked. "You abandoned her forever." "No!" Lisa gasped, trembling as she fought to regain control of her thoughts. "I want to believe you. I'll find Mia. I'll bring her back." Determined, she turned from the park and dashed through the ether. White lights streaked past her, but each step only led her deeper into the maze of shadows. The laughter resumed, now a chaotic choir, malicious and triumphant, joining forces against her. Faces twisted in torment leered from the dark. some the very children Lisa had once known. "Help us!" they wailed, their fingers clawing at the air like fragile marionettes. "Join us, Mommy. Don't you want to be with us?" The malicious words cut deeper now, reawakening old fears, insecurities clawing up from her past. Each memory, each regret burrowed into her heart. "They're lost," she shouted, willing the truth to drown out their insidious invocations. "I want to be part of you. I will save my daughter." Darkness rippled around her, and she stumbled into a pocket of stillness. A murky fog clung to her ankles, heavy and cold. It was then she heard it again, a soft sobbing cut through the noise, pulling on her threadbare hope. And Mommy, in that moment, Lisa felt every muscle tighten. "Mia?" she whispered, fear mingling with desperate hope. "Where are you?" The fog shifted, revealing a shadowy outline, a figure crouched in despair, frantically wiping tears away. Mia's voice echoed again, uncertain and fragile, "Help." With urgency, Lisa rushed forward, pushing through the clammy darkness that wrapped around her like barbed wire. As she drew closer, the figure vanished in a wisp, leaving behind only the soft sound of her daughter's weeping. "No! Come back!" The laughter of the specters grew louder, consuming every ounce of resolve she had. Frantically, Lisa looked around. The park was transforming into a nightmare, swings hanging empty, as if waiting for a child who would never return, laughter morphing into screams of lost childhood echoing through the trees. She could feel the figure against her, more tangible now, coiling closer in the dark. "Join us," it hissed, beckoning her to the shadow. "You know you want to stay," but Lisa shook her head violently, heart pounding. "No! I will find Mia. I will bring her back, I will. Please, help me find her." As if responding to her cry, the shadows recoiled, and the screaming shifted into a mournful song. A passage opened ahead, almost promising escape, but dread filled her as she eyed the path. It felt wrong. It felt like a trap. She hesitated, pulse racing. What lay at the end? Could she risk it? Could she follow? Anguish pounded in her head, as she weighed the desperate need for Mia against the terrifying uncertainty ahead. But what if this was her only chance to save her daughter? In this moment of silence, she heard Mia again, faint and distant, the cry threading through the suffocating dark. "Mommy, help me!" With a sudden jolt of adrenaline, Lisa made her choice. She lunged towards the opening, her heart racing. The shadows twisted violently, shrieks pouring from them like broken glass. Would the darkness consume her whole? Or would she finally reach Mia? The moment felt suspended, the path ahead unfurling into chaos as she charged into the unknown. But answers loomed ahead, and not all of them would lead her back to her daughter. As Lisa plunged into the opening, the shadows grasped at her ankles like desperate hands. A wave of panic surged through her, as the darkness threatened to pull her back into its suffocating mouth. Yet, all she could hear was Mia's voice, clearer now, a beacon in this twisting nightmare. "Mommy, please don't leave me. Hold on, Mia. I'm coming," she shouted, pushing through the darkness, heart pounding. With every step, the air thickened, filled with a sweet, rotten smell that burned in her throat. The path twisted wildly, as if the very ground was alive, consuming her footsteps. Suddenly, the landscape shifted again. The air crackled, and Lisa found herself in a dimly lit room that resembled her childhood home. It felt eerily familiar, yet wrong. The wallpaper peeled away like dead skin, and the furniture seemed to pulsate with unseen life, each shadow lurking with malicious intent. "Mia?" Panic rose in her chest. She darted through the room, anxiety clawing at her as she searched for any trace of her daughter. The faint sobbing echoed, now front and center, and it felt so close, like it was right behind her. As Lisa turned to follow the sound, a mirror caught her gaze, its surface rippling like water disturbed. Peering closer, she saw not just herself, but scenes of her past moments she wished she could forget. Her confrontation with Mia's father, the bitter arguments, the way life had crumbled around her like a forgotten dollhouse. And then Mia, small and vulnerable, reaching out to her from the reflection. "Mommy, where are you?" "No. I'm here," she screamed, reaching out, her fingers brushing the glass. The echo of her own voice sounded hollow, twisted beyond recognition. But the mirror warped, showing a deeply terrified face. Mia's face reflected back at her, eyes wide with loss. The mirror rippled violently as if alive. Shadows surged from it, slithering and grasping, their fingers stretching toward her, taunting, whispering lies into her ear. "It's your fault she's here, you let her go, shut up!" Lisa shouted, collapsing against the wall, her hands balled into fists. Grabbing her hair, she shook her head violently, trying to expel every haunting word that threatened to drown her sanity. "Me?" she called again, her throat raw. "I'll find you. I promise." With renewed determination, she tore away from the mirror. The room twisted, contorting around her like limbs of some dark creature. Another whisper took form in front of her, a figure, half hidden in the shadows. "Mia?" she breathed, but the figure stepped forward, revealing a child with hollowed eyes and a twisted grin that resembled her daughter. "Mia loves it here. We play together forever." Lisa recoiled, her insides icy. "No! You're lying." Panic surged, raw and unyielding. This was not her daughter, not the smiling face she cherished. This was a grotesque mockery. Yet the light from the mirror flickered, and she saw the real Mia again, like a lantern in the darkness. "Mommy, come back!" Lisa turned and ran, forcing her body forward despite the overwhelming dread and the clawing shadows closing in around her. She sprinted down an endless hallway, each door leading to twisted visions of her past, echoes of guilt, fears of failure. She pushed through doors, rushing through corridors, but they twisted and turned, leading her deeper away from Mia. "Me?" she kept calling, despair gnawing at her heart. Ahead, the air shimmered, and she stumbled upon a massive doorway, a grotesquely carved entrance pulsating with dark energy. She hesitated just a breath, fear slithering around her. Was this where Mia was? With one last push, she flung open the door. As it creaked, an icy wind swept through, an ancient voice creeping through. "Join us inside," the shadows writhed, and she could see hundreds of hands beckoning from the darkness. Me? Could she step into this abyss to find her? Or would she become just another whisper among the dark? The door behind her began to close, and in that fleeting moment, Lisa felt the hard truth weighing on her. What if there was no turning back now? With a heart full of terror, she crossed the threshold. But as she entered, the laughter of lost souls rose around her, mixing with Mia's desperate call. What awaited her on the other side? As the door slammed shut, the shadows erupted, promising despair and darkness. But Lisa would not stop. She would not give in. Would she finally find Mia? Or would she vanish, swallowed whole by the very thing she feared most? The moment Lisa crossed the threshold, the shadows engulfed her, wrapping around her body like a thick fog. The air turned frigid, snapping like brittle bones as she felt icy fingers slide across her skin. A deafening roar of simultaneous whispers filled her ears, drowning out her thoughts, each tone a blend of pain and sorrow. Join us, join us," she squeezed her eyes shut, trying to block out the cacophony of despair. Their voices clawed at her sanity, manipulating her deepest fears and darkest secrets. "Mia is happy here. We're all happy," the words echoed, taunting her. But Lisa wasn't here for their twisted interpretation of happiness. She was here for her daughter, for Mia, no matter the cost. With fists clenched, she forced herself to take a step forward, breaking through their suffocating grip. Each movement felt like wading through molasses, but she pushed on. Each heartbeat thundered like a drum, desperate and primal. In front of her, a cold gray mist began to lift, revealing a warped landscape. The ground was soft and gave way beneath her feet. It resembled her old playground, the one they visited every weekend. Rusted swings swayed ominously in the still air, and the merry-go-round creaked, even though no one was near. "Me?" she shouted. Panic surged as she scanned the area, searching for any sign of her child. Her throat was raw, but the sound of her own voice felt like a thread of hope, thin yet resilient. Suddenly, reality shifted again. The swings transformed into twisted branches, dripping with a thick, black sludge. The laughter of children now echoed in mockery, and shadows danced just out of sight, taunting her with mischief and glee. "Mommy, come and play!" A high-pitched voice called from the depth of the shadows, eerily similar to Mia's. Lisa's stomach churned, each taunt cutting deeper than the last. "No! Mia, I'm here!" she cried, her frantic heartbeat punctuating every syllable. "What if Mia doesn't want to be saved?" A shadow hissed, slithering closer. It formed a face twisted and grotesque, a mockery of innocence that sent chills racing down her spine. Lisa backed away, panic clawing at her throat. "Leave her alone!" she screamed, feeling her sanity fray at the edges. "I just want to be with her forever," the shadow sneered, its grin stretching impossibly wide, like it was savoring the fear radiating from her. She couldn't let it get to her. She had to keep moving. Mustering what strength she had left, she dashed forward into the fog. Then the ground shifted again, and she stumbled into what felt like an endless pit, a dark void where everything warped and twisted. "Me?" she cried out again, breathless. This time, her voice broke through the haze, echoing in the abyss. In the deep silence that followed, a chilling response came, filled with despair. "Mommy, please!" Reality snapped back into focus as she landed hard on the other side, rolling painfully before coming to a stop on the cold floor of an unfamiliar room. It was dimly lit, illuminated by a flickering, dying bulb that swung overhead. Around her, walls lined with mirrors reflected her wide-eyed terror. Each mirror showed another version of herself, but behind each reflection stood a shadowy figure, its face hidden in darkness. Whispers filled the air again. "She's here, come play." A wave of nausea hit her, as the shadows pulsed like a heartbeat, intensifying around her. Lisa stumbled to her feet, heart racing, desperate to find Mia before those whispers turned into screams. "Where are you?" she shouted, pure desperation leaking into her words. As if answering her plea, one mirror rippled violently, warping into an image of her daughter. "Mommy, please hurry!" Mia's reflection was terrified, pleading, reaching out through the glass, but something lurked behind her, dark and menacing, waiting to consume her. "No! I'm coming!" Lisa screamed, rushing toward it, hands outstretched. But just as she was about to touch the mirror, it shattered, shards flying like daggers through the air. She fell back, eyes wide as she stared at the fragments zigzagging across the floor. What lay beyond? Instinctively, she knew she had to keep going. Shadows wrapped around her legs, trying to drag her back as she stumbled toward a doorway pulsating with flickering light. "Me?" she shouted one last time, forcing her trembling body forward. The screams of lost souls echoed, enveloping her. What awaited her beyond this door? Would she dance with darkness or reunite with her daughter? The thought sent her racing, but the walls closed in, the shadows beckoning her to stay to join them forever. What if she couldn't escape? Lisa burst through the doorway, her heart pounding like a war drum. The air was thick, tasting of iron and decay. Shattered mirrors littered the ground, shards reflecting her wide eyes, trembling hands, and the darkness creeping closer. She could feel it, could sense the malevolence around her, beckoning her to stay. "Me?" she cried, desperation clawing at her throat. In the distance, she caught a glimpse of another mirror, its glass somehow intact. It shimmered like a portal, pulsing with an eerie light. Could Mia be there? The thought ignited a sense of urgency within her. With every step, the shadows coiled tighter around her, their whispers growing louder, more insistent. "Join us, let us play," they chanted. Their voices dripped with sinister glee, and a chill ran down her spine. The fear gnawed at her, a cold reminder of the darkness that surrounded her, but Lisa fought to hold her ground. "I won't give in," she whispered fiercely, gritting her teeth. For Mia, she could endure anything. She sprinted toward the mirror, but the floor began to tremble, shifting beneath her feet. The ground cracked, splitting open like a wound. Black tendrils slithered from the crevice, grasping at her ankles, pulling her back. "No! I won't let you take me!" she screamed, ripping free and lunging toward the glass. As she reached the mirror, it rippled like water, distorting her reflection. "Mommy!" Mia's voice came through, filled with fear. "Help me!" A shadow loomed behind her daughter, dark and shapeless, its featureless face twisted in a mockery of allure. "Don't listen," it hissed, each word laced with venom. "She doesn't want you. She belongs to us now." "No!" Lisa roared, pounding her fists against the glass, desperation overtaking logic. "Me? I'm here. I'll save you." The mirror vibrated violently, cracking further, spiderweb lines racing across its surface. "Mommy!" Mia cried again, reaching out, but the shadow closed in, its hands stretching like claws ready to pounce. The last thing Lisa saw before the mirror shattered was her daughter's terrified face disappearing into the darkness. Then the world imploded into chaos. Shards flew around her, their sharp edges glinting like cursed stars. Lisa ducked and covered her face as the fragments rained down. She could no longer hear anything but the rush of her own blood pounding in her ears. When she opened her eyes, she found herself in a vast, empty expanse. Nothing around her except endless dark void, absorbing all light, a blank canvas of despair. "Me?" she shouted again, her voice echoing into the abyss. No answer came. Just that suffocating silence, louder than any scream. Panic swelled within her chest as she spun around, searching. There had to be a way out. There had to be. But the whisper started again, softer this time, curling like smoke around her thoughts. "It's a trap, Lisa. Just give in, you can't fight it." Fear wrapped around her like a vice. She dropped to her knees, hands trembling. She could feel her resolve slipping, the shadows urging her to succumb. No more running. No more fighting. But behind the darkness, a flicker of light appeared. It shimmered at the edge of her vision, distant but inviting. Could it be hope? Or was it another trap? "Mommy! Help!" That voice, Mia's voice. It ignited a flame within her, pushing back against the darkness. She shot to her feet, adrenaline surging through her. "I'm coming!" With renewed determination, she bolted towards the light. The shadows lashed out, pulling at her, their claws scraping against her skin. She could feel them gnawing at her sanity, but she couldn't stop. Not now. Not ever. As she sprinted toward the flicker, she felt the air thickening, pressing against her body like a vice. The light pulsed, brightening with each step as if it had a heartbeat. Lisa's heart raced in tandem, caught in the frantic rhythm of survival. But would it lead her to Mia? Or was this her final act before consuming darkness? The shadows closed in, whispers crescendoing into a frenzy. "You can't escape, she is ours." With one final leap, she dove into the emerging light, feeling it envelop her like a warm embrace. But the shadows tugged at her, pulling her back, and in that moment, she knew survival was just the beginning. Where would the light take her? And what dark secrets awaited her in the depths beyond? As Lisa broke through the veil of darkness and into the light, a rush of warmth enveloped her, filling her senses with a sense of clarity she hadn't experienced in what felt like eternity. But clarity felt precarious, as if it might shatter in an instant. She stumbled, breathless, her heart racing fiercely. "Me?" she called, voice echoing against the walls of an endless space that seemed to expand and contract with every breath. The flickering light began to stabilize, revealing a scene that made her heart leap with hope and dread. There, in front of her, stood a figure small but familiar. "Mommy!" Mia jumped into the light, her arms flinging wide, laughter spilling out like beautiful music. "You came?" Tears streamed down Lisa's face as she rushed forward, grabbing her daughter tightly, almost afraid to let go. "I thought I had lost you. I thought I was scared," Mia whispered, her small voice trembling, "but I knew you'd come for me." And just like that, the weight in Lisa's heart began to lift. She looked down and saw Mia, glowing with a pure light that fought against the shadows that had tried to claim them both. Lisa glanced around, tension still coiling in her chest. She could feel the remnants of shadows lingering at the edges of this new space. Suddenly, shadows hissed, swirling around the edges of the light, darkness eager to reclaim what it lost. Their whispers rose like a chilling wind, the phantoms of despair. "You can't keep her," one screeched, its voice warped with rage. "Join us or lose her forever." "No!" Lisa shouted, pulling Mia closer. "I want to let you take her." The shadows moved closer, their hands outstretched, fingers clawed and trembling with desire. Real terror curled in Lisa's stomach, but it was different this time. It was fueled by the love she felt for her daughter, a fierce, fiery love that drove the darkness away. Clenching her jaw, she stood tall, feeling strength surge within her. "What do you want?" she demanded, towering over the shadows. "You've taken enough. You can't have us." With that declaration, she stepped forward, determination etched in her face. The light around her flickered, responding to her fierce will, growing in intensity. A warmth wrapped around her and Mia, anchoring them. The shadows recoiled, their forms twisting in agony. "No! This isn't how this ends." But Lisa could feel her power rising, a wellspring of love that flowed from her heart into the universe. "This ends now," she said with unwavering conviction and pressed forward, determined to break free from the darkness that had plagued her. The shadows howled, swirling violently, but Lisa stood firm, raising her arms as light radiated from her. It burst forth, enveloping Mia, illuminating the space beyond, scattering the dark tendrils. Bid farewell to the fear that had haunted them. Lisa summoned every ounce of love and courage she possessed. With one final roar, the shadows shrieked and dissipated, unraveling into nothingness, leaving behind only echoes of what they once were. Mia's small hand tightened around Lisa's. "Mommy, we did it." "Yes, we did," Lisa breathed, feeling the warmth of love fill not just the space, but also their hearts. She hugged Mia tightly. "We're free now." And in that moment, the atmosphere shifted. The light glimmered with triumph, and they found themselves transported back to their once beautiful neighborhood, bathed in warm, nurturing sunlight. Everything felt right again, colors vibrant, and sounds alive, a stark contrast to the lifelessness they had escaped. The streets were filled with families laughing, and children playing without fear of shadows. Lisa knelt to Mia's eye level, cupping her daughter's face in both hands. "We're safe. I will always keep you safe," she swore, heart swelling with fierce love. Mia smiled, her dark fears washing away, the innocence of a child cherished again. And as they stood together, they felt the weight of the past lift, their tightly knit bond now fortified against whatever darkness dared to approach. "We'll never let it back," Mia said, and Lisa nodded, feeling unwavering strength in her daughter's resolve. They walked hand in hand down the street, towards their home. Behind them, shadows melted away, locking up their darkness and despair, far from where love would ever thrive. In those peaceful moments filled with newfound hope and love, a soft whisper floated through the air, echoing a truth known to those who face the darkness. Together, they could ignite the brightest light. And together they would shine, no matter what came next. Now you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't miss a single exclusive story. We have more chilling tales just waiting for you. Smash that like button now to help us feed the algorithm and continue telling these intense stories. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about how this conclusion resonates with you. And for true fans, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible ending. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second. Be part of our community and stay in the loop.